the Honorary Consul of Uruguay, and as a Czech Uruguayan, I am in charge of moderating this event. So welcome, thank you for joining us. And honestly, I think maybe some of you or maybe some of your colleagues might thought when they saw the title of this webinar, Czech Republic, Uruguay, aren't those two countries a little bit distant, even in another sense, not just the geographical one. But let me ask you, if you think about a country that in the last 30 years has transitioned successfully to a democracy, if you think about a country that has developed and is existing in between of two bigger geopolitical blocks, if you think about a country that has made technology and innovation part of its country brand, which country is that? I think Czech colleagues might think, well, this is Czech Republic. And Uruguayans might think, well, that's a good description of Uruguay. Well, in fact, both countries have a similar path in the last 30 years. And we think there are similar synergies and there are opportunities for both countries, and maybe we don't know about them yet. So this is the purpose of this webinar, to take these countries a little bit closer. And it's not just my purpose, it's also the purpose of the main organizers I would like to thank now. The main one is the Czech Business and Investment Development Agency, CzechInvest. And we are also grateful to my colleagues in the Embassy of Uruguay in Vienna, of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Uruguay, and of the Ministries of Agriculture and Industry in both countries, Czech Republic and Uruguay. And we will be also hearing from people in practice, the Czech tech company Bigtera and BioValor project in Uruguay. So big thanks to them and big thanks to you participants. Another objection might be, well, we are far away. We are 11,000 kilometers, even more distant. But as you can see, and I think this is the positive thing of COVID, it has shown that, in fact, that distance can be bridged as well. We are now with you together in one event, independently if you are far or close to the place here in Prague. So let us start, and I am very happy to welcome two ladies, high-level vice ministers, as we say in Spanish, deputy ministers, as it's said in English, who share the same vision and the same purpose of this webinar. We will go first to the Czech Republic, to the Deputy Minister Martina Tauberová, who's in charge of EU affairs and foreign trade, and who had a large diplomatic career in the past, also oriented to foreign trade and investment. And then we will go to Uruguay, to Montevideo, to hear the welcome of the Vice Minister, Deputy Minister of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Uruguay, Carolina Arce-Valle, who has also been in international trade, more in the private sector, also in Europe, and has been also linked to Mercosur. And I mentioned this because some of you might not know that Uruguay is now the pro tempore president of Mercosur. So before I pass the virtual baton to the Deputy Minister Martina Tauberová, I would like personally to thank you, because Vice Minister Tauberová has been in the past last months, we have seen you in many activities concerning Latin American countries, in events with Argentina, with Chile, with Mexico. And I would like to thank you because you are doing a lot to make this region of 600 million inhabitants, of if you want to call it a market, to make it more visible in the Czech Republic. So thank you very much. And please share with us your remarks.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you very much, Adriana, for these very kind introductory remarks. And I would like to welcome you all from my side, from the side of the Ministry of Industry and Trade. It's been a great pleasure for me to open today's virtual event with our partners from Uruguay. I would like to, at the beginning, let me thank very much to all the organizers, and Adriana was so keen on mentioning all of them. So let me just simply restate that I thank very much to you, Adriana, as the Honorary Consulate of Uruguay in the Czech Republic, as well as to the Uruguayan Embassy in Vienna and to our CzechInvest agency. And I'm very glad that the topic of today's event has raised interest of almost 40 participants, and we'll see whether other participants will join us later. obviously there is a strong interest on both sides, and therefore I'm glad that we'll have speakers both on the Czech as well as Uruguayan side. It's important to, in this extremely difficult time, to keep our contacts and not simply say that the situation does not allow us personal meetings and therefore we should give up and say, well, let's hope for better times and they will certainly come. I'm optimistic, obviously, but there is an echo. Hopefully, okay, it's over. So there is many reasons for our dialogue to go on. What the crisis has brought to us, there are many lessons learned, and one of them is a strong interest from our side to diversify our trade relations as much as we can, and to deepen our partnerships and to secure our international trade. That's one of the crucial conclusions we're coming out of this ongoing crisis, and therefore we should, and we are definitely not going to take our attention off your continent. And obviously Uruguay, as mentioned by Adriana, is one of our partners in the region and important partners, and we are interested in further enhancing our bilateral cooperation. We look at Uruguay as a potentially extremely promising partner, and we very much hope that the Mercosur agreement, which Adriana mentioned in her remarks, that will be concluded soon. We are a strong advocate of the Mercosur agreement with the European Union, and we are therefore hoping very much that it will conclude as soon as I mentioned, and the market barriers potentially that it will be reduced as soon as possible. What Adriana mentioned basically echo my remarks in the sense that there are surprisingly a lot of similarities among our two countries. And one of the very interesting similarities is the strong focus on modern technologies and on innovation on both sides. And therefore, the Czech Republic the government of the Czech Republic has passed a national innovation strategy, which opens basically the floor for stepped up efforts to increase the position and the level of innovation, the overall innovative ecosystem in the Czech Republic to the level of, let's say, one of the leading countries around the globe. And there is a strong playground for the two countries to even increase our cooperation in focusing on these particular promising areas. Well, ICT area is extremely, let's say, potential, offers a lot of potential. Adriana knows that Czech Republic is strong in artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence and think where we basically could combine our forces. Huge topic, not only in Europe, but worldwide, is 5G networks. And cybersecurity, obviously. So these are just a few areas from the overall scope of modern technologies where we see a strong potential for bilateral interactions. Smart cities, energy and renewables, as well as the topic of our today's webinar, and that's the circular economy and technologies in agro-industry. So many areas. I don't want to talk for too long because simply this my kickoff remarks, because what is more important is to have the interaction and to give the floor to our speakers. And one of them, as I was informed, is also representative of our Ministry of Agriculture, and Adriana mentioned that we'll have on both sides the representatives, which is crucial because today's topic is obviously more, in the hands of our Ministry of Agriculture. So without further ado, thank you very much to all organizers for organizing this, and I wish you all a very good discussion today, and let's hope that we'll be able to follow up on this initiative and to have even more discussions among us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Tauberová. That was the Deputy Minister of the Ministry of Industry and Trade of the Czech Republic. And we would also like to hear the opening remarks of the Deputy Minister of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Uruguay, Carolina Ache Valle. Good afternoon. Good morning to Uruguay.
Good afternoon. Good morning to the Uruguayans. I would like to start by thanking you, Mrs. Tauberová, for hosting this webinar. This event shows the interest of the Czech government in promoting exchanges among actors from different economic sectors, in this case, agrotechnology, paving the way for facilitating contacts and better understanding of the realities and national scenarios in potential areas for building in the future bilateral synergies, not only from a commercial perspective, but also combining science, as you said, technology and innovation. As my colleague said, and I must say that I agree very much, we agree very much in Uruguay, that after this ongoing crisis of COVID-19, it's crucial to strengthen international relations, cooperation, and economic affairs between countries. So we are glad in this case to start a more strong approach with the Czech Republic. Thank you very much. Likewise, I would like to praise the proactive approach of our embassy in Vienna. Thank you very much. And especially our consulate in Prague for facilitating the identification of opportunities of mutual bilateral interest. So, great job. The agro-industrial sector is one of the main contributors to the national GDP in Uruguay, as you know. Its historically strong bond makes it worldwide known for the quality of its products and for the high productivity yields. The use of new technologies has become a remarkably integral component of agro-industrial production. New technologies, production techniques, and management tools are needed to increase and improve production in a sustainable manner, lowering the impact of the economic activities on our valuable natural resources. Applied technologies to agro-industrial production have encouraged the development of an array of innovative trendsetters, mainly startups, that are committed to designing tools for the sustainable management of natural resources by using drones to monitor soils and crops, micrometeorological stations, or robotized management devices for dairy farms and forest plantations, among others. Uruguay has established, as a national policy priority, the development of its agriculture and agro-industrial sectors geared by sound and sustainable criteria. A final important remark I would like to refer to is the complementarity of all the mentioned affairs which relate to a bigger concept of bioeconomy. On one hand, with the second topic of this webinar, circular economy, where products are seen as vectors for further value-added activities alongside their life cycle, promoting sustainable and inclusive economic development, as well as social and environmentally responsible entrepreneurship. The success of Project BioValor in Uruguay is a clear example of the latter. For the Uruguayan government, policymakers, both bioeconomic and circular economy are closely linked and interdependent, hence the importance of this webinar for bringing them together to the fore. Before I conclude my intervention, I would like to highlight that Uruguay holds as you mentioned, Uruguay holds the presidency of Mercosur during this semester. We, as a dynamic and innovative country, value the agreement with the European Union as a milestone for strengthening the traditional bonds between our two regions. But most importantly, as a window of opportunity for reaffirming and putting into practice our engagement to a rule-based, bi-regional, new generation trade systems that facilitates better social and environmental outcomes. Finally, I would like to highlight the Uruguayan panelist, Ingeniero PhD Walter Ollancabal from the Ministry of Livestock, Agriculture and Fisheries, and economist Esther Saha Biovalor from the Ministry of Industry, Energy and Mining. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much. Thank you to both deputy ministers, Martina Tauberová in Prague, Czech Republic, Carolina Achevaje in Montevideo. Thank you very much. And most of the topics you have mentioned, we will touch during this webinar. I know you have to go, but I hope this is not the last time we see each other even on a screen. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. So, dear participants, before we go on with the kind of framework part, let me just remind you of some housekeeping rules that you already are experts in. We are in Teams. It means you can ask questions in the chat. Yes, you know the function of chat. So please, if you ask questions there, dedicate a sentence or two to your introduction. Who are you? Where do you work? So we know also your background, if you are a private company, an NGO, etc. Those questions will be answered by the end, where is the Q&A section. And when the Q&A section starts, you can also ask directly, and there is the function hand, so you can raise your hand and we will be happy to hear you wherever you are. We will try to keep you all muted during all this event. We can see some of you. And the last remark is to remind you that this event is being recorded. Yes, so those were the housekeeping rules, and without any further delay, we have come to the part that we are calling the setting the general framework, because if we want to seize the opportunities to see them, we need to know more about the two countries. And let us be honest, we don't know very much about the agriculture, innovation, and the modernization of the agriculture in Czech Republic and Uruguay. So please welcome an expert on the Uruguayan agriculture, Mr. Walter Ollancabal, Director of Sustainability and Climate Change Unit in the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Livestock of Uruguay. And I will ask you, Walter, please give us a very quick overview of where agriculture in Uruguay is now. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, and good day to everybody. I am going to share my screen in order to facilitate the communication. If you allow me to share. Okay, let me know if you can see the screen.
Yes, we can see the screen. Not
Good.
in a presentation mode, but we can see the screen.
Now it's in presentation mode.
Yes, perfect. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, Uruguay has been working for a more sustainable agriculture since long time. I don't know exactly how long, but for many years, because it's a way in which we progress towards sustainability, but we never reach sustainability. We are always finding new opportunities to improve. So, to give some perspective of where we are in South America. We are, as you see, a relatively small country compared to our neighbors, as Brazil, Argentina are much bigger in area than we are. We have a temperate climate. We are in the 35 parallel of the southern hemisphere. Our area is 176,000 square kilometers, and we are a country with a relatively small population of 3.4 million inhabitants. We one characteristic of Uruguay is that agriculture is the backbone of our economy, agriculture and all the industries that are related to agriculture. And this is basically due to the type and the quality of our natural resources. We have productive soils, around 94% of the total area of the country is productive. The climate is relatively mild. We don't have oil, so our natural resources are at the basis for the development of the economy and the society. And you can see in these pictures some of the representative landscapes in our country, more extensive as it is cattle and grasslands, or more intensive as afforestation or soybeans. Also, rice production is very important in Uruguay. As the Vice Minister was saying, agriculture is important in the GDP of Uruguay. It's around 8%. But when we relate this to upstream and downstream activities, agriculture is related to 24% of the GDP of Uruguay, which gives a clear idea of how important it is. And it has, compared to other sectors, it has the greatest multiplier capacity toward other sectors of the economy. So it's really extremely important. It also generates 75% of the income from exports, because Uruguay produces food and fibers for more than 10 times its population. So we basically are an exporting country. In rice, for example, we export 95% of the rice we produce. In beef, we export 70% of the beef we produce. So in soybeans, almost 97 or 98%. So our agriculture is oriented to the export markets. And it's also an important source of employment for our people. You see, for example, here, considering rice, dairy, soybeans, and livestock production, that there has been, comparing the last decade, there has been an important growth in the volume, which are the blue lines. For example, rice in volume increased 4%, but the productivity per hectare increased 17%. So in all sectors, we see a technological dynamic that explains the increase in productivity and efficiency of the resources. Seeing what is our portfolio of export products, there has been a dramatic increase in the importance of cellulose. In the past, beef and wool were our main export products, but the pulp industry has grown a lot in the last 20 years. So now is one of the most important products that we export. Cellulose, beef, dairy products, soybeans, wood, rice, and meat byproducts and are the key actors in our export portfolio. Our markets are diversified, and this has been a state policy in the last years to try to expand the scope of our markets in order not to depend too much on closer markets, as for example Mercosur. So Mercosur is very important for us, but we also look to the world as a whole. And as you can see, Asia, in particular China, and Europe are the most important markets for the products that Uruguay exports. It's a country with a diversified land use. You can see in the different colors where are the main productions located according to the natural aptitude of the soils and the natural resources. And well, we dedicate around 40% of the land to strictly grazing cattle and sheep. But we also have combined systems that combine agriculture with livestock, rice only, or rice with in rotation with pastures and livestock, dairy, intensive agriculture, and forestry is now around 15% of the territory, but natural forests are around 5%, but the other are planted forests. So diversified, productive, and looking for increased sustainability. Well, and now let me share some elements on what could be some of the axis of the strategy of Uruguay for a smart agriculture sector. One of the strategic lines is related to how to increase the international competitivity of Uruguay. And for this, Uruguay has been defining for the last years that wishes to be a reliable supplier of safe food, to be more environmentally friendly as possible, to pay attention to animal welfare, to move to low carbon and resilient future, because we are very affected by climate change. As we depend on agriculture, agriculture depends on climate, so everything that happens to climate is extremely relevant for us. But also we have made a lot of progress in traceability, in particularly of beef, and these efforts of traceability I will talk about a little bit later, are also in plans to be adopted by other products of wine, for example. So the idea is to increase, or the objective is to increase the share of Uruguayan products to international consumers, in particularly in high-value market niche, because as a small country, our wish is to compete for quality and not for quantity. Big countries, neighbor countries can compete with quantity, but for us, our competitive strength should be the quality, and this is the arena in which we want to focus our activity. So we say that, and this is a kind of this is in Spanish, but our grass-fed beef is here. We are saying that we pack nature and we sell trust for consumers. So from nature to table, says there in Spanish. This is what the idea that we want to transmit in those leaves of grass converted into codes, so we can track back the characteristics of the product. In relation to sustainable intensification, which is a concept that has oriented the policies of the Minister of Agriculture, the task is to promote intensification, but not just any kind of intensification. This intensification shall be sustainable in terms of the environment, in terms of the economy, and also in social terms. So it should be inclusive. And this is the framework to increase production while preserving or restoring ecosystem services, because during long time, some of our resources, for example, some of our soils have degraded due to unsustainable tillage practices. Some of our grasslands have lost biodiversity. So the task is to not just to preserve, but also to restore, and giving value to the ecosystem services that sometimes are not directly reflected in the market or don't have a price. One area in which Uruguay was pioneer was in developing its national livestock information, completely digitalized and based on 100% obligatory use of ear tags in every animal before 6 months age. So we have 100% traceability of all our beef and dairy cattle. And this is very powerful as a tool for the trust that we want to transmit the consumer, because it is not that one area of the country, but this is the complete country that has this attribute. And this is provides also high quality updated statistic system. We could daily know which animals are moving from where, and how many animals go to slaughterhouses or go to other farms, on where do they come from. So this is very important in terms of innocuity, in terms of biosafety, and in terms of the attributes of quality of the product. Well, this is what I was saying, 100% traceability of the cattle herd with electronic and visual tags. Another area of improvement in looking for sustainability is the related to soils conservation. By law, it is obligatory that every farmer doing more than 50 hectares of crop have to present a midterm soil use management plan that ensures that erosion is minimized. So there should be the appropriate rotations and the appropriate measures in order to prevent the degradation of the resource. So the ministry with this policy moved from a situation of autopsy. Also, I mean, we verify a big damage and then we see how to do to a prevention approach, avoid this. Another important technological change was that in the 90s, and because of the policy, but also because of the farmers' initiative, and mainly, I could say, because of the farmers' initiative, there was a thorough change from conventional tillage to zero tillage. And this is really had a great impact in the sustainability of the soils, minimizing the losses, building resilience in the system, taking care of soil organic matter, which is key for fertility, for water holding capacity, and for other properties of this basic resource that is the soil. We all depend very much on the soil. In order to continue moving forward towards sustainability, manure management is one of the key points. Intense in activities that are intense in production of manure, as dairy farms and feedlots are very close to Montevideo and the metropolitan area, so there is a risk to affect the sources for water quality for the population. So there is a lot of effort in improving the manure management systems, and well, the BioValor project will say more about this. Another characteristic of Uruguay that is quite unique in Latin America is that we have native forests protected by law, and we have zero net deforestation in Uruguay. So every piece of land that is intended to be deforested should ask for a permission, have a justification, and so our beef does not include deforestation, and we know that this is nowadays a big concern. For example, for some markets in the European Union, we know the Green Deal, the From Farm to Fork policies, and so we are very much in line with selling not just the product, but the process that is behind the product. And zero deforestation is one of our strengths. Related to climate change adaptation and mitigation is very important for Uruguay, as I said, because we depend on climate to produce in agricultural sector. If we produce software, then climate is not so relevant, but for agriculture it's extremely relevant. So we have built our national adaptation plan, and Uruguay was the country number 13 to register its national adaptation plan in 2019 in the UNFCCC convention. Our national adaptation plan has some pillars as climate insurance, water supply, biodiversity conservation, and information for risk management and early warning systems. And we have also targets for mitigation in agriculture. This is also relatively unique in terms of agriculture and disease, because we made explicit targets for reducing emissions intensity in the beef sector, maintaining or increasing soil organic carbon in croplands and pastures, improving manure management to recycle, and here is where circularity, circular economy and bioeconomy have a lot to do, increase carbon stocks in forests, increase efficiency in the use of nitrogen fertilizers. So as you see, we are very ambitious, and we have reflected this in our commitments to the Paris Agreement. This is one example. With the support of the World Bank, our ministry has developed a drought NDVI insurance at pilot scale. This is a type of insurance that does not work in the traditional way, in which the damage, somebody goes to see what was the damage, and then some compensation for the farmer is given, but it's through satellites and through the determined types of sensors that we can detect how is the vegetation and where and how intense the hydric stress is. So this is just an example, and it's interesting to show it because I have seen the presentations that Czech Republic is strong in these topics. Finally, to close my part, circular bioeconomy is as a concept is relatively new in Uruguay. We are working on this since 2015 because we see that it is a kind of new paradigm for a transformational change. We believe that agriculture at global scale needs a transformational change to produce more with less impact in the environment. And for us, bioeconomy is the way in which we can consider the production of goods and services from the use of sustainable transformation of biological resources, taking advantage of biological process and principles, with a lot of support from science and technology, which is fundamental in order to use the different types of biological resources from cultures, animals, trees, fishes, to microbiomes, genetic resources, things that were considered wasted, but in fact they are also products that have its own value, and through processes and science and technology produce better traditional products and new products. So we enhance this portfolio of products we can offer, incorporating new materials, for example, nanomaterials, new bioenergy sources, bioinputs to replace the chemical pesticides, for example, that have some concerns on health and environment impact, biopharmacy, bioconstruction. So there is a huge potential for transformation in beneficial way for the society and for the environment. On this, we are now closing the national strategy, the proposal of the national strategy for bioeconomy, and we hope that with the approval by the political authorities, it will be one of the main drivers of the future change in agriculture. And for this, we need partners, and hopefully Czech Republic could be one of our partners. So we are very interested in finding opportunities for mutual collaboration with Czech Republic. I don't know how to pronounce muchas gracias, thank you very much in Czech, but a Google Translator says that it's written this way. So if there are any questions, these three cows are ready to answer them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It was Walter Janzábal from the Ministry of Agriculture of Uruguay. It's pronounced děkuji mnohokrát. It's not easy, so let's have many webinars so you learn it. Děkuji mnohokrát. And I would also add that, Walter, you and your unit were one of the main contributors to the Agricultural National Adaptation Plan to Climate Change you mentioned. So I think climate change, bioeconomy, sustainability, many of the topics you have mentioned will be also mentioned in our next presentation that will be delivered from the Ministry of Agriculture of the Czech Republic. And now I hope we have online our colleague Iva Blašková, who leads the research department of the Department of Research, Development and Education of the Ministry of Agriculture. And I hope you can share with us, after what you heard about Uruguay, you can share with us where the Czech Republic is. What's the state of modernization of the Czech agriculture? So Eva, please.
Good afternoon. I will try to share my screen. So, please, can you already see it?
No.
It was working before.
Okay.
Yes, now.
Yes.
But just get it into the presentation mode, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, we can see it now.
Yeah, it's good.
I hope the other participants can see it as we see it. So we see you and the presentation on the same time. Great. So please, the virtual floor is yours.
Okay. Okay, so if it's sufficient now. Okay. So is it okay now?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you. So one more time, good morning and good afternoon. I appreciate the opportunity to have a presentation about innovation in agriculture in Czech Republic. I divided my presentation into 5 parts. So first of all, I would like to start with basic information about Czech Republic. Then I will continue with information about agriculture research and support of agriculture research by Ministry of Agriculture. And then I will move to common agriculture policy, bioeconomy, and smart agriculture. The area of the Czech Republic is 7.9 million hectares. Agriculture land represents 4.2 million hectares, from which 70% is arable. Share of agriculture in gross domestic product is 2.4%. And we have relatively large farms. Its average farm size is 130 hectares. There are 10.7 million inhabitants in Czech Republic, and we have 99,000 employees in agriculture. Now let's continue with production. So plant production represents 57% of agriculture production in Czech Republic, and animal production is 38% of agriculture production. Most exported products are cigarettes, animal nutrition, bakery goods, food preparations, milk powder and cream, wheat, beer, chocolate, rapeseed oil, and cheese. We also export agriculture machinery and agriculture forestry and food processing technology. Yeah. Let's move on to tasks for the future for Czech agriculture. As for a member of EU, it is important for us to promote Czech interests within the common agriculture policy in the EU. We want to increase self-sufficiency and competitiveness. It is also necessary to maintain and strengthen food safety. Our priority is care for the landscape and water resources. We strive to ensure a better rural life. So in Ministry of Agriculture, I'm from the research department. We support research in a different area. Our sector includes agriculture and food industry, water, soil, forest management, and rural development. Our main strategic materials are strategy of Ministry of Agriculture and the concept of research development and innovation. We support 20 research organizations. We gave them institutional support, and we also provide project support to different research organizations. If you would like to cooperate with some research organizations, I can recommend you to contact Czech Academy of Agricultural Sciences. It's a state-funded institution, and it's advisory body of Ministry of Agriculture, and it concentrates staff of agriculture, research, development, and education. And there are more than 650 members there. They solve special research, and they are also very active in global research. They also publish different agriculture publications, and the 9 of them are with impact factor. If you would like to, as I already said, if you would like to cooperate with some research organizations, I can recommend you to contact the chairman of Czech Academy of Agriculture Science, Jan Nedělník. You can see the contact here. So he can connect you with different organizations. On this slide, you can see the names of the research organizations that are supported by Ministry of Agriculture. You can find contact details in our publication. The link to it is on the bottom of this presentation. There are not only these organizations, but there are also other organizations such as universities and different private research organizations. Current state, so agriculture and food industry faces many challenges. Demographic scenarios predict an increase in bird population from 7.6 billion in 2018 to over 9.6 billion in 2050. So at the same time, the growing impact of climate change has a negative effect on the agriculture sector. This will probably result in a significant increase in food demand and the need for sustainable food security. It is increasingly a limited availability of natural resources such as water and productivity arable. So agriculture production will have to be more environmentally friendly, but also not lose its production capacity. So we have to react to all these things, and climate change influence all of us, and so we have to cope with that. The European Union and Czech Republic is actively seeking solutions to these challenges and place great emphasis on innovation and the use of research results in practice. So the European Union reacts on all the challenges, and European Commission published a European Green Deal. It represents a set of policy initiatives which are overarching aim of making European climate neutral in 2050. It is a plan containing measures to promote efficiency use of resources by transition to a clean circular economy, and it is planned to prevent biodiversity loss and to reduce pollution. The key to achieve all the goals there are also new technologies, innovations, sustainable solutions, and much more other. EU Common Agriculture Policy will definitely focus inter alia on bioeconomy and circular economy that are closely linked, and also to smart agriculture, digitization, and other areas. I would like to start with bioeconomy. Bioeconomy is a tool for reinsurance of sustainable use of natural resources. It's a very important topic for us. Last year we prepared concept of bioeconomy from the point of view of Ministry of Agriculture of the Czech Republic. We try to summarize the aims of bioeconomy that were already defined in different Czech strategic materials. So it's some starting point for preparation, some national strategy. We are not working on this topic in national level, but we have also some international cooperation. We are active in BioEast initiative, that is initiative of Central and Eastern European countries. There are 11 countries there that want to solve the bioeconomy. So we discuss this topic together. We try to solve some common projects, and we are preparing strategic innovation and research agenda to be prepared for our own national bioeconomy strategies. Let's move to other topic, that's smart agriculture. Smart agriculture, what we use there digitization, robotization, artificial intelligence, 5G, Internet of Things, blockchain, high performance computing. There are different new technologies that are or can be used there. The use of these technologies in agriculture generally lead to increased efficiency and productivity in agriculture, greater environmental friendliness, and promote better animal welfare. Agriculture is a sector that includes in particular routine manual tasks with high technical potential for automation. So there is a lot of room for innovation, and some automation is much more easier to use in agriculture than in other sectors. On the slide, you can see the important strategic materials of Czech Republic in the area of smart technologies. They are also linked there, so you can watch them if you are interested in it. Okay. So what about smart agriculture in Czech Republic? So we emphasize we focus on precision farming and sustainable management of natural resources by precision management, sustainable production, reducing. We want to reduce environmental impacts, negative environmental impacts, and climate impacts. What is the situation in the Czech Republic, or what we already use? In Czech Republic, 57% of companies have invested in automation and robotization of operations over the last 10 years. The largest share of investment is represented by navigation system sensors used in animal production, devices for fertilizers application, air conditioning units, and the purchase of robots for animal and plant productions. At the present time, precision agriculture in the Czech Republic is represented mainly by smart harvesting machines, tractors using GPS and navigation technology. The machines have an automatic GPS guidance function with an accuracy, for example, 2 centimeters. These automatically controlled machines enable very variable dosing of seeds, fertilizers, and other products. They are used also different applications that enable to monitor temperature, moisture, precipitation, weather conditions, and it collect data and process really a huge amount of data, and it can recommend the farmer what he should do, which products should use, or how to solve it. For example, according to images from satellites, the applications can find out which part of the field needs to be fertilized, which is more grown, dried, and so on. There are also many companies in Czech Republic who are focused to this area and who offer different applications for farmers, and it's really very effective and money solving issue. I will move on to the project that is under the Life Science University. It's Center for Water, Soil and Landscape. Under this center, there are 3 different projects that are testing the conditions for the future, for how to grow plants after the 2040. So it's really very interesting project. It's in the beginning, but in this project they will build wetlands, ponds, irrigation systems, soil erosion controls, and there are different types of project. They have their area of agriculture land, forest land, urbanized area, and they test different conditions. How to fight against droughts and floods. Ministry of Agriculture also supports the projects from the area of smart agriculture. So under the Rural Development Program, we provide subsidies for special machines for precision agriculture, which contribute to reducing pesticides and fertilizer doses, reducing soil compaction, and saving fuel. Operation program Fisheries supports product and processes innovations leading to increased competitiveness of fishing entities through the application of new farming methods or new improved management or organization systems. From the research point of view, we support different projects. We already support many projects that are focused to smart agriculture, such as production of cereals, digital soil mapping, and so on, and also calls for the years for the year 2020. And also in the calls for the year 2020, there were a lot of calls focused to the smart agriculture. I have to say that most of them were focused to smart agriculture. So it's a really very important topic to us that we want to solve, and we will have to solve it because of the common agriculture policy. And I think that everybody has to solve it and to implement smart agriculture digitalization technologies in these days. Also because of the COVID crisis, everybody is using more digital technologies, and I think that it will continue. So thank you for attention.
So thank you very much, Ms. Blašková. Thank you, and Walter Ojancabal. This has been an amazing overview. You took us across a lot of areas and sections, and I think many topics that we hope in the future we can come back. I suppose I got already some questions on WhatsApp, but please, if you have questions about this overview, the state of agriculture modernization, please start to leave them now already in the chat function, so we can come back to those questions with Walter Ojanzabal and Eva Blašková by the end of this presentation. And we have promised also to provide information from practice. So the next speaker we are going to host will take us to the space. You might know that Czech Republic has a long tradition in aviation. Even in Uruguay, there are still Czech companies selling planes, for example, for agriculture. But you might not know that Czech Republic is on the top of development of space technologies. Obviously, it has not yet caught up with space giants as United States, France, or Germany, but its voice is already being heard. So I would like to introduce, and we have to move because we are two, so let's hope you can still see us. I would like to introduce the CEO of the Czech company Bigterra, that is a proud member of the European Space Agency Business Innovation Center, and they will talk about it more. And let me give my moderator's role just for a while to my colleague from the CzechInvest agency and the main organizer, Adam Podhola. So a little change, and I'll be then back. Thank you.
Okay, Adriana, thank you for the introduction. My name is Pavel Juruš and I'm founder of Bigterra. So I will start with just a brief introduction about what is Bigterra and what is its role and purpose. We have been founded as a startup company about 3 years ago, and we started in business incubator of ESA, of European Space Agency, which was one of the centers is taking place here in Czech Republic in Prague and also in Brno. So we started in the first wave of companies in Prague, and so what we are doing is basically our background. We are a tech company, and our business is to work with huge amounts of data produced by satellites and by various climate and weather databases, and we provide information around the globe for the agriculture. So basically, any place in the world, if you are interested, what is going there, or what can be, or potentially, if you are an investor, what can you do in there? We will give you a comprehensive overview. What type of climate is there? What are the trends? What crops are the most suitable? What is the yield potential of the crops? And perhaps also something about risks and uncertainties involved due to, for example, changing climate.
Te llama después, me dice.
Okay. So, well, so yeah, so and maybe we are specific by that we started. We figured out that maybe using satellite data, our services are most interesting in places that has fewest amount of data, which are developing parts of the world, and so our focus is not only, but we also have a number of projects in sub-Saharan Africa, in countries where there is not that much of local information available. There is whereas in many countries, including Uruguay or Czech Republic, there is lots of meteorological stations, and people in agriculture, as you mentioned in previous presentation, are used to work with very detailed data, for example, from drones, we are able to analyze and process vast amounts of data for huge areas that has no such data from the surface. So that's what we do.
I'm really sorry for the technical details. Just to check, can you see us or on the screen? Yes.
Well, I don't know. We have a couple of slides here. I'm not sure if we should go through all of them. Maybe try next slide if it has something interesting. Okay, so that is one of our services. We call it Climate Report, and that is basically it. You point your finger anywhere on the map, and we produce a comprehensive report. Which is focused on the crops and on crop production, telling you what are the things in there. And this is just an example of satellite imagery which we used. It's much more data, and I can go into much more into much more technical details, which I think is not necessary here, and maybe.
Okay, I'm sorry for the technical problems. I had also prepared a slide about ESABIC, because I don't know if you mentioned in the beginning, ESABIC is a technological incubator, which is part of the CzechInvest, and Bigtera was one of the first startups that were also supported through this program. And so far, this altogether, there have been almost 25 startups in the last 4 years who have been through this program with investment almost 9 million euros. Maybe if you just give us a hint, actually, how did you get into this topic? Why did you get interested in food securities in emerging markets? What was your driving motivation? Because you started 4 years ago, right?
Yes, 3 or 4 years ago. It's it's always personal story. So in my previous life, I already worked with. My background is computer science and technology, stuff like machine learning, mathematical modeling, and like that. And I used to work with lots of environmental data, with climate data, metadata. And then I got some question if we can provide some of this data for some places in Africa. And so I asked why do you need this, and then we found out that there is really this need to have better information, and that led us to funding the company. And yeah,
but did somebody approach you with this question, or was it you were interested in this and you reached out to local?
It's a typical story, I would say. Talking with a friend over beer, and he told me, I have this friend somewhere, and he asked me about the data for Africa. So it was just a lucky chance, I would say.
Great. So you've been your company has been here for last 3 years. Could you just share us a little bit if you can already see some difference how technology has evolved in the last 4 years, and if did, how, or what is your perspective as someone who operates in this field, as a practitioner?
There is lots of changes, and it really paces very quickly. It's technology on many levels, so it's not just satellite observations, which of course are getting better and better, and there are now several private projects which they are launching, lots of small satellites which are going to bring us even better data in future. So it's something like insurance for us that we will continue to have better and better data. But it's also, for example, just things like mobile phones, this 4G and 5G spreading around the world. That means that we are able to deliver some interesting information and results directly to the end users. That's something which is quite important for us. And it's not just this sort of technology. It's also
I saw your presentation a couple of years ago at Czech Republic, and I remember you were sharing this, that the technology goes very fast, and we think that a couple of years we'll be much more able to get a much more actual and precise picture using the Sentinel data. So that's great. That's the pace is developing. And maybe you mentioned that now that farmers are have this like double role now as well, and it needs to adapt to current challenges, current technology, which might, I believe, in Czech case as well as maybe somewhere else, could be a problem for them how to get along with this like new technology. So what do you see also from your perspective? What are the current challenges facing in adopting new technologies? Is it that farmers are have hardships to using the technology, or is it some legislative barriers now that needs to be taken place to fasten the development, or is it still the technological part? What do you think from your perspective?
I would say that the main roadblocks are. I have two things in my mind. One is the technology. The problem is not the technology, but the user experience, because we have loads of technical data, and the question is how to make it all user friendly for the end users, because there is so much information. Everybody is bombarded by so much of various services and information, and there is really information overload. And so we should really think deeply how to transform our services and how to deliver them in such a way that it's user friendly and to think about the end users, which can be farmers, or not just farmers, could be, for example, state institutions. But that's something which I believe there is some work to do, because very typical type of information which we can see is all those vegetation indexes, for example, and DVI and lots of stuff, and it's. I believe that's not really what the end user is interested in. It should be something like more easier, transferable to something actionable and something which is easier to understand. And second roadblock is, I would say, it's really this agricultural sector is transforming. And sometimes I believe that the whole value chain, the whole business is maybe there is sometimes too much focus on the productivity, or for example, attaining higher and higher yields, or saving more and more money, and there is this difference between how the business works and what everybody is talking about. So everybody is talking about circular economy or sustainability, but the whole incentives for farmers are based. Economic incentives are based around productivity. So that's something which I believe should be better aligned.
That's also, I think, a big that gives us a space to involve a lot of researchers, right, who can also look at this perspective, how the productivity can be still high or higher, but to maintain all the aspects and possible impacts on environment. And I know that there is the whole research group at the Academy of Czech Sciences with Mr. Doležel, right, who is doing the research in this, which I think is also very, it's definitely worth to look at. Maybe just like last question, I would be interested in, you work a lot in very remote areas. Is it done everything from Prague, or do you also happen to travel to those areas? I think you have a project in Moldavia, right?
Yes.
And
we have yes, various locations in Africa, Moldova, for example. We are preparing project with Georgia. It's yes, various different places. Southeast Asia also.
So does it require you to also travel there and conduct some local research, or can be everything done from Prague?
It's a lot of work can be done from Prague, and we are really the company which provides the numbers, and we can provide the numbers in Prague. But whatever we do, I always say that there are two things which are important. One is look at the numbers, but the second one is talk to people. And especially now during the pandemic, I would say that we are more used to talk remotely, and it's great that I can. In one day, I can have talks really around the world, and it's nothing unusual. It's not, everybody is getting used to that, but still, sometimes it's the best to come down from the space and put our foot on the ground and go out and talk to the people on field, and that's experience which we need to have. And so that means that yes, traveling is important for us. It's sometimes there are some little things which cannot be perceived and understood well just over remotely over the internet. So I prefer to at least sometimes have some personal visits to go and see in my eyes. That's something which I believe is very, very important. So, for example, if we would go to South America, I would definitely like to visit personally, and learning about Uruguay is if I have now a list of countries to visit in South America, Uruguay is very high, maybe on the first place, because it seems like great country to start business if we are interested in this region.
We're definitely interested in this, and I have to agree that the human aspect is very important, especially when we look at the future technological development. I'm really sorry once again for the technological problems. We will share all the presentation that wasn't on with you afterwards. So now we would go, I'll give the floor back to Adriana, and we would invite Esther Zaha from BioValor from Uruguay, who will share information about her project. So thank you very much, and I'll just go back to the...
So, thank you very much. Sorry for the technological problems, but I think that all of us, since Corona crisis started, we all have developed what I call a technological resilience. It always happens, no matter how many times you rehearse. So we are all used to it. Just breathe, grab your coffee. It'll be all fine. So this was an invitation of the CEO of Big Terra, Pavel Juruš, to invite him to work for you in a certain way. He likes Uruguay, so just we need flights to resume and start to flight again and take you to Uruguay. And now we will stay with an expert from BioValor, who quite surprisingly has also experience of working in Africa, but I will say in the field. And with Esther Zaha from the Ministry of Industry, Energy and Minery of Uruguay, we will go from the space to the fields. And Esther will help us to dive not only into the agro products, but she will also deep dive with us into its waste. So I don't know, Esther, if you can see us, if you can hear us. Esther, can you hear us, please? We can't see you. Esther, we see you are connected, but we can't hear you for the moment. We can hear a dog there somewhere. So now I would just say that Esther Zaha is an expert not only in economy, because she's the senior economist of the BioValor project, but she's also an expert on circular economy. So now we will leave a little bit this smart side and deep dive into the circular economy side of agriculture. So I hope we can have Esther online. If you are there, please unmute yourself. Yes. I think we can manage. That's what I said.
Hello.
Yes, Esther.
The connection just broke down in this minute, but I think I'm back.
I would say take it easy. It happens. The exact moment you have to present, something happens. So don't worry. I think we have all experienced that as speakers or as participants. So there's quite a wide tolerance and resilience to this kind of things. So can you see the presentation, Esther? We are screening.
I can't yet.
Not yet.
I can see you.
You can see me. Well, that's I think the presentation would be more important.
Now?
Maybe now?
No.
So
just me or everybody else?
Esther, while our colleagues are trying to fix the presentation, could you just explain, because I said you are from the Ministry of Industry, Energy and Mining, but BioValor is an agriculture project. So it's quite like, seems strange that you from one institution are involved in a project, but I know this project is a cooperation with different institutions. Could you just mention, I mean, what kind of project, because it's an intersectorial project, who is working on that?
Okay. Adam, if you can go to the first slide, it would be better, but I can already explain that. BioValor is a joint project of 3 ministries. Actually, 3 ministries got together. This was Industry, Energy and Mining. It was Livestock, Agriculture and Fisheries, and it was also Environment, to tackle one topic, which is waste valorization. No, if you think about it, the 3 ministries have some interest in this from different perspectives, from the energy perspective, from the environment perspective, and also from the waste as agro-industrial waste perspective. No, and they got together to design this project with the objective to promote waste valorization technologies. No, with low CO2 emissions. No. It is UNIDO who is basically the managing the funds, and we have the funds are GEF funds, no, Global Environment Funds, and the project started with 16 prioritized agro-industrial sectors, which more or less covers a lot from the Uruguayan agro-industrial sectors. And the idea was from the start to test these 4 waste valorization technologies, as you see here: biogas, compost and the use of nutrients, the alternative fuel options, and also the valorization of waste through byproducts. Can you pass to the next slide? None of this would have, none of this would have been possible without all of the stakeholders we collaborated with. I mean, we tried not to invent anything new, but to collaborate and to also empower a lot of organizations that are already in place, especially private sector companies, many stakeholders in the academia, in different institutions, and also state agencies. Can you pass the next one? Well, and the first thing that we did was actually to quantify and also to characterize waste streams. No, I mean, when we talk about waste, how much is there? Which are the streams? Where are they? No, can pass to the next one, Adam. For example, nitrogen, or how much potential is there for biogas? No, what's the calorific properties of these waste streams? No, so how can we really think about it as an alternative fuel? This information is all online. We won't stop now to discuss it, but you can pass to the next one. The idea was also we mapped all the waste streams. Now, if you go online to the BioValor page, you can check where in Uruguay and which department do you have which type of waste in which quantity. No? So that if you want to use one of these waste valorization technologies to use the waste, you can actually absolutely track where it is in the country. You can pass to the next one. And the idea here was to somehow have a lot of incentives so that this really happens, no? And we did a lot of things on regulatory and fiscal incentives. We supported a circular economy action plan. We worked with academia on a plan to improve the circularity of nutrients in dairy farms, and also supported students who wrote their thesis on circular economy. But I won't stop on these issues now because we don't have the time. The idea was to talk to you more about these demonstrative projects, no? Because, and the demonstrative projects, the idea here was that you could also test if biogas works or not in a laboratory, you know, but it's always more real and I think more applicable if you have the people the entrepreneurs testing it on full scale, no? So we did a competitive bidding process where we said, okay, we support you with funding, co-funding, no? So that if you're interested, you can test on your farm or on your grounds these technologies, because the idea here was to lower the risk perception. No, if you want to innovate, or if you want to try a new technology, a lot of times the investment at the beginning is a hurdle, and if you have somebody who is supporting you technically and also giving you a percentage of the funds, this might get easier, no? So we had this competitive bidding process, and we had 8 projects that were selected. There were 2 of biogas in dairy farms. There was 1 biogas in a school canteen. There was 1 for the use of alternative fuel in a meat processing plant. There were 3 composting plants also who got selected, and 1 that wanted to use byproducts in a tannery to make a new product. And the idea here was just to introduce you very briefly 3 of them that we are going to show in the video, where the beneficiaries are explaining it themselves. But just to give you a small introduction here through this presentation. You can pass them to the next one. So this is a meat processing plant. What you see here is a steam boiler. And basically what this meat processing plant did, and what the women are going to explain, the workers are going to explain, is that they use the ruminal content that is in the stomach of the cow when it is slaughtered and substitute firewood that is used in the steam boiler with this previously known waste stream. No? So basically what used to be a waste stream, which was this ruminal content, in a way that it is dried a bit, not through an energy process, but just squeezed basically. It is fed into the steam boiler, and it substitutes the firewood that normally costs money. No? And BioValor here supported this company with a relatively small amount if you consider the whole investment. You Can go to the next one. So this is a dairy farm with 500 milking cows, and what they did here was to build a biodigester with the idea to sell electricity to the national electricity company. And the next one. And as the last one, we have here a composting plant. We had 3 of these. The idea here was to make the product more attractive. No, I mean, compost has this thing that you can valorize waste through it, but it's difficult to sell. No, we say in Uruguay viaja mal, so it doesn't travel well because it takes up a lot of volume, and transporting it's costly. But the idea here at this plant was to make pellets. No, you can see in the left corner the result. So basically is to squeeze out the humidity of the product and to stop transporting water or air, and transport the product that is easier also to apply. And actually, what this project helped with was that the pellets, for example, now can be transported much more easily, and also the sales radius of this company got much bigger, basically through doing this improvement in the plant. And with much further ado, the idea would be now to screen the video, if that's possible.
Yeah. So. We decided to screen the video. I will just add to Esther, because we can't connect all the people who are participating in BioValor project. So you will hear, if we are successful, you will hear some testimonies of those people that Esther Zaha has just mentioned in the projects of BioValor. So let's try if we get image and sound at the same time.
It's in Spanish, but it has English subtitles.
Yes. So this is the advantage. I hope you can hear it. If not, there are subtitles everywhere. So I hope you heard also the sound. Esther, can we?
I didn't hear the sound, and the connection was quite patchy, but I think at least we saw the images.
Okay, so I'm sorry, at least you could read that. I hope. Yeah, it sometimes depends, that it depends on the connection of your last mile. Yeah,
yes,
the connection here is perfect. However, I think what I understood from all what you said is that the waste of today is the gold of tomorrow. Yeah. So I will invest after cryptocurrencies in ruminal content. I think it's a good asset for the future. Let me ask you 2 questions, just 2 questions, because we are running out of time. However, we will keep the Q&A section maybe a little bit shorter, but please keep asking. We are receiving some questions. But 2 questions for you directly, Esther, is how replicable are these projects in the country, and what are the barriers to scale it up?
Well, that's what we are analyzing, no? Because the idea from the onset was to test this out so that you check how replicable they are, no? And right now we are doing the feasibility, technical and economical feasibility studies of these all. I would say the compost investment is absolutely replicable without any further ado. In the case of biogas, there are some investment promotion laws that exonerate taxes that are for clean technologies, which kind of help this case. I mean, it would be replicable from some scale and above. So it's not for the small dairy farms. We are still finalizing the numbers, but I think it's interesting. And in the case of the meat processing plant, it's a very interesting investment for meat processing plants that change their steam boiler. So you need kind of to change the steam boiler and adapt, and with this adaptation to process ruminal content. In the case that you're not wanting to change the whole steam boiler, it's a different story that is still being analyzed, because you cannot kind of cut your existing steam boiler and put a new adaptation so that you can burn this ruminal content. But in the case that I showed, where the beneficiary changes its steam boiler, it's absolutely attractive economically, because they use a lot of tons of firewood a year, and then actually disposing the ruminal content also costs money. So it is actually a win-win situation.
Good. You have also mentioned biogas, and I think some Czech companies are paying attention, because biogas, technically, in terms of technology, is quite a strong side of Czech companies. So I think there might be questions about that. So, and the second question, the last one, is how do you foster innovation in circular economy in BioValor?
Because okay, there was one thing I didn't mention during the presentation. That was one of the slides, that we also have a program now with the National Development Agency that is called Circular Opportunities Program, which brings this further. So we get out of only the waste valorization focus, and we focus on all strategies that could be on circular economy, meaning eco-design, meaning a lot of sharing options, product as a service, a lot of other business models that could lead to firms being more and more circular. And this Circular Opportunities program is now in its third edition, and the idea is that we support ideas that need validation, but also projects that need implementation in companies that apply to obtain these funds, to make their companies more circular. And I think it's a very nice thing to foster innovation with the companies directly, so that they can implement it. We can see it. The neighbor sees it, touches it, and then also sees these changes, and the innovation spreads basically. So you can check in the internet circular Programa de Oportunidades Circulares, and you can see all the different firms that were supported the last 3 years to embark on a more circular production.
Mm-hmm. So thank you very much. It was Esther Zaha from the Ministry of Industry, Energy and Miner with the BioValor project, senior economist. Thank you very much. So you gave us more details how Uruguayan ministries invest in circular economy. And now we came to the end of the presentation part. I hope that the picture is starting to come together a little bit more. And now it's the part to pay attention to your questions, and to open the floor to speakers and the audience. So I would also encourage you, as I said, you can put your question into the chat, you can raise your hand by the function hand so we can speak directly. And I would also encourage the speakers, if they have some questions among them, the Czech and Uruguayan speakers, to ask, yes? So I would like to invite also my colleague from the Honorary Consulate in Prague, Liberta Dergam, she has been following your questions on the chat. I haven't been following them. So we will probably read them. I will ask how many questions and which question we could start with.
We could start by a question from Tomáš Uhnák, who is the advisor to the Member of Parliament, Radek Holomčík, and he's advisor of Agriculture and Food Systems. And his question was to Ms. Blašková and Mr. Ojan Kabal. The research and academic data clearly show that organic agriculture and agroecology is in the front line in innovation and meets the highest demand for sustainable, climate-friendly, and socially inclusive modes of production. Why were these frameworks not mentioned in your presentations, especially in the context of what Mr. Ojan Kabal mentioned in the agriculture and food systems needing to be transformed? Thank you.
So who wants to start first, Mrs. Blašková or Ojan Kabal? The question was about organic agriculture and agroecology. Why hasn't it been focused in your presentation? Or maybe it was and you call it differently. So maybe we could ask Eva as a lady first. Yes.
Thank you. I definitely agree. I have just choose for my presentation the precision agriculture or smart agriculture and bioeconomy, but agroecology and organic farming are in the line of innovation, and it's also in line with farm to fork strategy. So this is definitely our priority. I'm sorry that I didn't mention it in my presentation. When we are speaking about these priorities, I can also mention agroforestry, which is also really very important for us, and we want to focus to this area also. So I definitely agree with this comment. Thank you.
Thank you. So, and Walter, now your answer to Tomáš Uhnák from the Czech Parliament, please.
Well, I thank very much for the question, because I should have included this in the presentation. We are convinced that agroecology is the basis for sustainable agriculture. And organic farming has also a place in our bioeconomy strategy. This understanding has been evolving in the past. Organic agriculture was seen as a small niche agriculture for a very small segment of consumers. Agroecology as a wider application of ecological science and ecological principles to production. And in fact, I should have mentioned that last year, the parliament approved the agroecology law in Uruguay. This is relevant, and we clearly see that we are to include agroecology in the framework of the bioeconomy strategy. The law creates a commission to prepare the national plan for agroecology. We don't have an agroecology plan, so this is a gap that we are going to fill. The president of the agroecology commissions has been recently designated, because we had change in authorities due to elections in March, and of course COVID created some delay in implementing some things. And we have already had a meeting with the president of the Agroecology Commission, and he shares his very he sees with very good eyes that we can interact between the bioeconomy strategy and the agroecology plan, because they should be very much in harmony, and there are a lot of things in common between both initiatives. So thank you very much for the question, because I had not highlighted this important point.
Thank you very much, Walter. And we have received another question.
Well, the question is, what are those specific needs of Uruguay? What is Uruguay looking for in terms of cooperation with the Czech Republic and Czech companies, and also vice versa?
Yeah, well, it's a very specific question because this is like the first approaching webinar, but from the perception you had, Walter and Esther, what do you think, what of the Uruguayan needs could be addressed by Czech companies, or what, at least what do you feel as a need that you are looking partners and cooperation for?
Esther, do you want to begin?
No, I think Walter is more your field with the bioeconomy strategy. I see some very interesting synergies there.
Well, as Adriana is saying, we are in the beginning of knowing each other. So it is hard to say now which could be the more promising areas for working together, but I think that in this moment, instead of being specific, I would be more wider and think that we have to start exchanging, knowing better each other strengths and opportunities. But at first glance, I would say that Uruguay could benefit from what we have seen as much more advanced in Czech Republic related to 4.0 agriculture, to precision agriculture, databases, information friendly for users, use of sensors. In this regard, we think that what Czech Republic is developing could be one of the cases in which we could benefit from a bilateral collaboration. But as I said before, we still need to better understand and in order to find what are the common projects on which start working on. But I see a lot of things that are very, very interesting for Uruguay and for the agricultural sector. Really, thank you.
Thank you. Esther, do you have anything to add?
Sorry, I think I agree with Walter that I think it's interesting to keep it wide at this moment, and I was also very impressed by the presentations. I think there is potential, but I think it's too early to figure something out.
And maybe I will pass the word to Eva Blašková the other way around. Where do you feel that, I mean, what kind of needs, or where do you feel the Czech Uruguayan? Was there something that we would say, I would like to know more, that's interesting for us?
Thank you. I agree with Walter. It's really hard to say it now. We are in the beginning, so I hope that companies will contact each other or the research institutions. So it's really hard to say. I see a big opportunity in the area of smart agriculture or precision agriculture, because I see a future of it now. It's important topic where we could cooperate. So maybe it's the area of our interest. But I'm from the Ministry of Agriculture, so I can't say what the companies would like to solve. So I have to see it in general, and yeah. So it's up to the company.
Yeah, I would add, but I'm also an institution that I see also potential in biogas. Yeah, because Czech companies, as I said. Or, for example, in applying circular economy into agriculture, that's something Uruguay seems quite advanced, and maybe we can learn here in the Czech Republic something. But you are absolutely correct, and that's what we want to do. I mean, for all of you, and I'm like, we are coming to the end, slightly behind schedule, as you have noticed probably. I can promise to the participants that you will receive in future days, first, the link to this webinar that has been recorded. Second, you will receive all the presentations, so you can go through the data again. And third, a short questionnaire where we are asking you for your valuable feedback. Exactly where would you go? What would you like us to focus next time? Because as we said, this is a big framework, first meeting after, I would say, years of not being really in touch and somehow like seeing where are we together. So it depends on the interest of you companies, research agencies, whoever is listening, to ask us and say, I would like to hear more about, and we really would like to narrow the topic in order to make it more useful for you. So please do return that questionnaire to us. And I think we are getting to the point to thank, but we were asked by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Uruguay to say few words before switching off. So I will pass the word to them and then get it back to say bye-bye in several languages, I hope.
Well, hello, Adriana. Thank you. Just a brief comment. Thank you very much, first of all, for the CzechInvest for the proposal and your amazing job for host this event. That must be, for all of us, a great opportunity to exchange points of view. Also, I would like to thank the participants and the speakers from your side, and of course from our government, from this side, from the Ministry of Livestock, Agriculture and Fishery, and of course to the last expert, Ms. Zaha, that from the Ministry of Industry, Energy and Mining. And I think, as you said, that is a first approach on this matter. I would like to follow this event in order to see the opinion of my colleagues, and if there's a certain point of contact that we really would like to work further, probably we're gonna go on working with you through the consulate and through the embassy in Vienna. Probably we're gonna have a follow-up between each other from the Uruguayan side. We have to check the framework that we have with your country, with the Czech Republic, in order to see or to find a way to have a cooperation and go on with the exchanges of point of view. We have also an investment agency in Uruguay. From our side, from the Department of International Economic Affairs, I think that is our job to bring our country together in order to promote our business companies, this new side of the economy that is great for both countries. So we are here. You work with us, and you are in contact with the investment agency there. So don't be shy in order to propose to us, in order to want this type of event. And if you find that there's a way that we can go on and be more useful as a government to help the companies, here we are. Thank you very much for your time, to the excellencies of the speakers, and of course the participants for the patience. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And last, we will try to show. Thank you very much. I think we will use this offer. We will try to show also the specific context you can address to. But meanwhile, as you said, this is the first webinar. We would like to continue. And I have to say in advance that next year we will celebrate 100 years of diplomatic relations between Czechoslovakia and Uruguay. And we hope that more contacts on the level of academy, companies, and also institutions will be developed. So I hope you, in a second, we can screen the contacts, and don't hesitate to write to the Embassy of Uruguay in Vienna or the Honorary Consulate in Prague if you have any questions about Uruguay. We will try to circulate it and to channel it to the right destination. And the same if you have questions to the Czech Investment Agency, CzechInvest, the Ministry of Industry, or the Ministry of Agriculture, you've got there the contacts. Don't worry, you will also receive the contacts in all the pack of the presentations. So we came to the end. Thank you very much to the presenters and the participations for your time. Stay healthy, stay well, and we hope to see you on another occasion. Nashledanou, na viděnou, děkujeme. Gracias y hasta luego. Hasta la próxima.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Thank you.